Hello, everybody. What is going on? Welcome back to the PlayStation Drive. This is episode 48. My name is Matt. I'll be your host for this afternoon's events. Welcome back to Carpool Gaming. We're stoked to rock with you. I'm joined, as always, by Captain Canada himself, Mr. Court Lalonde. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I like that a lot better than Sean's trying to come up with a nickname, and they're just like Bat Dad Bod, or I don't even know what it was. It was rough. It was rough.
I just feel it. It hit me like with a spark of inspiration. I just think throw a shield on you, put you in a suit. You fit the type. You'd be perfect for it.
Well, yeah, all right. No, I'll take it.
I mean it with all of the best part of the world. Now, before we get any deeper into this, let's clean the garage. If you are new to the show, thanks for watching. This is the PlayStation Drive, where each week we talk all things PlayStation in the world of all things news and fun in-game announcements and all of the above. If you could please subscribe to us here on YouTube if you're watching it live right now. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, hit that bell so you get the wonderful notifications when we go live and when new fantastic content comes to the channel, because there is a lot of really great stuff here. So make sure you hit that bell, all right? Next thing, make sure you hop over to patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar and out comes content, as Ryan always used to say. I love that. It just, my mind goes to a candy machine.
Honestly, his little spiel, chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. It just goes so well every time. There's so much exclusive cool content over there and much more coming. It helps support us and everything that we do. So please hop over to patreon.com/carpoolgaming and become one of the amazing Patreon subscribers that we have over there. If you're listening to this in audio form, well, thanks for doing that. Make sure you hit us with the 5 stars on whatever podcast platform that you're on. We would appreciate it very much. It helps us grow. It helps us reach new people. So please do so. We would appreciate it very, very much. Now, Court, we have a big show this week. There is a ton of news. There is a ton of questions. There is so much going on. But before we do that, let's talk about the playlist. What have we been jamming to? What's been going on? Court, my friend, what have you been playing? What's been going on?
Obsessively. So I just finished Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga.
Nice.
Oh, I said it properly this time. I just finished doing a review with my good buddy Ryan Turford, which is all over Carpool Gaming.
Nice.
And all over the podcast services of Carpool Gaming. Love that game. But what am I playing? I am obsessively playing MLB The Show 22. Like, obsessively.
Nice.
A thank you to our friends over at PlayStation Canada providing Carpool Gaming the code. So I have it on both Xbox, because it's on Game Pass, and I have it on PlayStation. And I am seamlessly playing this game like nobody's business. So they have like a franchise mode, Diamond Dynasty, and it's Face of the Franchise, and it's 34 levels. Yeah, so I've maxed out my XP, and I have leveled up, and I have totally done it, and there's still like 6 more days. They even gave a double XP weekend this weekend. I didn't need that.
You're flying through it, eh?
Yeah, I even used my Microsoft Reward points today. That's something you can do if you're you have it. You can go in every day and you click on the thing. So I had a ton of money there. I took my Microsoft Reward points today, bought stubs, opened 55 packs just right before the show, popped the Albert Pujols. Yeah, I can't stop playing this game. Like, I love it. Like, I truly love this game. It rewards you for playing. There's no gotcha moments in it. There really isn't any gotchas.
That's something that, like, I wish, like, I have to give this game a try, because I miss that feeling of like popping open like booster packs from when you were young of like different cards and stuff. And like I haven't found a game that emulates that in like a really crisp and fun form. So I don't know, maybe I have to jump into the MLB The Show and give it a shot, because I feel like I could possibly waste a lot of money looking for people that I don't know.
No, you don't even have. This is the beauty of what San Diego Studios has done. They have taken the formula that EA has had over the years, and they're like, yeah, you know what? We don't want to do that.
Okay.
We're going to give you the best simulated baseball game. You know what? The best simulated sports game on the market, bar none. Then they're also going to take their Diamond Dynasty mode and say, hey, you can pay to win, but you can also grind and earn everything. Everything. You're able to, like, they say, here's cards you can earn. You can earn, and then you can sell those cards in the market. It's up to you how you want to play this game, but everything is obtainable. Nice. I'm not like I bought packs today. I didn't need to. It was just I was talking to my co-host on Three Dads, and I was like, oh, it's just burning a hole. You know what? I'm gonna see what cards I can get and just have the endorphins hit me and have that whole thing happen. So it was kind of fun this morning.
Nice, that's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. As for myself, whoops, knocked something over. As for myself, I have been obsessed with Ghostwire Tokyo. I keep playing it. The story itself so far, I think the story's fine. It's good. It's engaging. It's kind of, I'm enjoying the ride. The gameplay is great. Like I love kind of the mix of like the different magic. You have different, like you have a bow that you can use as well. But just like the magic is just so satisfying to use. Running around Tokyo is just super cool. The open world is like it's a little bit emptier than possibly I would have liked. Like like a bunch of the side content is fun and it's cool, but it doesn't feel ultimately very meaningful outside of just leveling up. But I've enjoyed doing it so far. I think one of my bigger gripes with the game at this point is there's a certain section that I'm in right now where you lose your magic abilities and you're kind of left to the wind with only your bow and arrow, and like there's waves of enemies you have to get through, etc., etc. I just don't feel like at least the placement of the ammo and stuff, and like there isn't enough of it, and like I've died a number of times just because like I don't know if I'm missing it. I don't know if I'm just not seeing the ammo lying on the ground. But like there isn't a lot of ways to kind of deal with it, and I've tried like sneaking around them, but like as soon as one of them sees you, it's like game over. They're all on top of you. So like I'm curious to keep going with it. I am enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. And I know the members of the community have been playing it. So like for me, it's an easy recommendation right now. I would also totally respect a wait for sale on this one, just because I think, like I said, there's enough there that I'm really enjoying about it. But like, if you're not big on kind of, the Tokyo environment, if you're not big on kind of, it's pretty basic magic combat. There is ways to augment it, but it's not like incredibly deep. If that is kind of enough for you to kind of sell you on this kind of creepy, weird world, then grab it. Otherwise, I'd say wait for sale. But so far, I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with it, and I'm excited to keep going with it. Is it on your radar at all, Court?
So from your recommendation there, no.
Okay.
No offense. It's just
No.
It was like, all right, sounds like you're like it sounds like one of those TV shows where you're like, you gotta get into like episode 7 and then it's great. And I'm like, It sounds a lot like Prey to me, where everybody was saying how much they love this game. Same developer, so.
Yep.
And then at the end of it, I was like, I don't know. I played a ton of it, but I was just like, I didn't care to finish the story. It wasn't for me.
Fair.
Prey wasn't for me. There's other horror games, like I guess you include BioShock into that just do it better.
Fair.
So for me, I was like, it's just not good enough. And then when I look at Ghostwire, I'm like, okay, I can wait a year and I can just play it on Game Pass. Like, let's be honest here. That's the whole thing in my head the whole time. I was like, it's great, but it sounds like the perfect game for Game Pass.
It is, and that's actually a really fair assessment. And again, like I do think that this game is a little bit more of an acquired taste than something that you can just kind of like. I feel like Deathloop is a little more widely accessible. There's more of like a general market for that compared to Ghostwire. But yeah, I'd say wait for sale, or even better, wait for Game Pass. But I'm enjoying it so far. But my friend, we got to slam these brakes because we have a ton of breaking news and maybe even a new segment along the way. Let's get into it, my friend, because we have so much to talk about this week. I was worried yesterday being like, there isn't that much news. I was wrong. Our first news story coming from IGN. Let me just pull it back up real quick here. Written by Logan Plant. PlayStation wants ads in its games too. Logan writes, after last week's report that Xbox is looking to include more advertisements in free-to-play games, it seems PlayStation is also testing the waters for its own advertisement program. According to Advertising Insider, Sony wants to encourage developers to create free-to-play games by adding this new way to monetize them beyond microtransactions and battle passes. It would look something along the lines of putting real-life ads on billboards in virtual sports stadiums. Sony is also looking into rewarding players for watching ads and promotions within its in-game items, including avatar skins. So it looks like it's supposed to be launching by the end of this year. Now, Court, what do you think? What do you think about PlayStation? And we'll focus on PlayStation, but possibly putting ads into its free-to-play games.
I'm okay with it. Like I saw when Xbox announced it and everybody went Looney Tunes on it, but obviously that's what the community does. Mm-hmm. These games are free to play. Like what do you expect? Like I've grown up my whole life of paying for video games, and now we're getting the free to play is becoming more and more a thing. Mm-hmm. If you didn't think that they were going to bring ads in, like if you don't think that Fortnite's soon going to be brought to you by McDonald's or Coca-Cola, like I don't know what to tell you because it's happening. Like these things are going to happen. 2K started doing it in their basketball games a while ago, and I thought it was egregious because you're paying for that game. If you're putting ads in your game like 2K does religiously, the way they do it, like you're already making a sports game, so you can do it on the boards and all that, and that makes sense. Like they do it in the NHL games, but when you do it like 2K does, when they had like casino things and actual ads coming on before you could actually play the game, that's egregious. But if you're playing a free-to-play game and they put ads in it, I'm sorry, these developers, they deserve to make money somehow. And if this is another way, then it is what it is to me.
See, I'm with you on that. Like I had that kind of initial, reaction of being like, no, what are you talking about? And then actually reading the article, which I feel like a lot of people just kind of saw the byline and ran with it. For the free-to-play games, I would rather have, a Coke ad, on a billboard somewhere or something like that than being nickel and dime for a battle pass or for cosmetics. And I'm sure there's going to be a combination of all of these things. But like, if there's a couple ads in the game, which means maybe skins are cheaper, or there's another way to kind of balance the scales, which is, I hope, the direction they'll go into. I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, they're not going in that
not
direction.
At all.
Whoa, we're gonna pump the brakes on that. They're definitely going for as much money as possible, Scrooge McDuffing into their pool and swimming around in their money. They're just looking for other ways to make revenue. And I'm telling you, as soon as this happens, I'll say this: by the fall, Fortnite will have ads upon ads in their games. They're gonna have sponsored guns and sponsored this, and that's what they're gonna do, and it makes sense. Look at professional sports. You're getting ads on the corners. You're getting ads on the helmets. You're getting ads everywhere. Soon it will be like what you see out in Europe, where when professional sports in Europe, they're literally just covered in ads.
Yeah, and
what it is.
And that's what I mean. On the free-to-play side, I really don't have a problem with it. I'm a little curious about this whole like watching ads for, unlocking skins and like in-game promotional items. Like I'm kind of curious as to how that will work. But again, like as long as we don't cross the line into paid game territory, I'm okay with it by the sounds of it. If it gets egregious, if it gets to be too much, that's a different story, which I mean, I guess we'll find out, by the end of the year, but I don't know. At face value, I'm not that upset about it. Not as upset as I think I thought I would be.
I don't care.
Well then, let's keep moseying on, because this next story is an interesting one. Coming once again from IGN, PC users can now update a DualSense controller with a PC. They don't need the PS5 anymore. This is written by Taylor Lyles. PlayStation has released an app allowing users who own Windows 10 or 11 computers to update the DualSense controller. Previously, owners of the controller needed a PS5 console to receive firmware updates. So I think this is really interesting, and this is very indicative of them pushing more into the PC market. I know a lot of people who the DualSense is one of their favorite controllers, and now people who don't have a PS5 are just incentivized to buy one and hop in. So like, I think this is an awesome move. And like, if they keep bringing more PC games and just making them more accessible for the general audience to get in and play, I think this is awesome, Core. But what about you? Where are you at on this?
I'm at that. Their games will release on PC day and date. I think that's what they're going for here. I think that's what they're going towards. I know you and Sean, you played God of War and you guys loved it on PC, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. It was awesome.
I know for a fact my brother's a huge PC player. He'll be getting a DualSense without even thinking, because I will tell him it is the best controller. I like it more than my Elite, but unfortunately it is what it is. I wish every single game would incorporate the functionality of the DualSense, like they do for the first-party games. But to me, this just screams that they are planning to start releasing games on PC day and date.
See, I really hope you're right. Because I really want that to be true. I just don't know if PlayStation will actually make that move, at least not anytime soon. The games are I hope that like the time frame.
We're getting rated by Jar Jar Binks.
I see that, and that's amazing. Okay. It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yes. Jar Jar Binks is the best. 100%. Hashtag Jar Jar forever. But yeah, I think that like I would hope that maybe the release window, because right now it's typically like a year to 2 years. I hope that's shortened down to like 6 months. I don't ever see them going day and date unless they start backsliding, unless sales of consoles start to go down. They just make too much money on their first party games selling day one on console.
But the reason why I say, but they were still making the money when they sell it day one on PC, because if we've seen it in the wild, people's Steam decks, they're playing PlayStation on it.
Yep.
Like, I've seen it. Badbit has put out a ton. And yourself, you guys are playing PlayStation games right now. So what's the difference? You're playing them on that's all I'm saying. If the functionality is there, they're about to launch, and it'll be our next story. We now know when they're launching PS Plus, where they're launching it and when they're launching it. And you're launching it so that you can play games streaming. I'm telling you, I would think that Sony would be naive to not capitalize on this ever growing PC market. The PC market has been growing and growing, and it is a market that they want to be a part of.
See, I agree with you. I think from a consumer standpoint, it makes 100% sense. But like PlayStation is still very much locked into this is our ecosystem. This is where we want you to play the game. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that changes in the next couple of years. I just don't see that coming anytime soon. They're still very much like, we want you to play our games on PlayStation. We want you to be there on PS5.
They didn't want a subscription service, and they're getting one.
I know. We'll see.
Sony changes. Sony is adapting. They're adapting, people.
They
adapting.
are. And I hope they continue to do so because it just makes the games better for everyone, especially on an accessibility standpoint. But I guess we'll find out. But from now on, DualSense users, you can now update your firmware on the PC. Our next story, which Court alluded to, coming from the PlayStation blog itself, we have an update on the PlayStation Plus, the new PlayStation Plus, launching in June. In Asia, it'll be launching, excluding Japan, on May 23rd. In Japan, June 1st. In the Americas, June 13th. And in Europe, on June 22nd. They're also expanding their cloud streaming access to 30 new markets, which is very exciting, which means that this is imminent, Court. Like, it's coming. It's basically less than 2 months away from.
Well, I would assume that we're getting it at the same time as the US. It doesn't mention Canada, but I would assume. And I hate saying that with Sony, but they do always launch everything at the same time. Mm-hmm. They pretty much North America. I'm surprised it didn't say North America, but
yeah, with the Americas, I'm guessing North America and South America together will be launching on the same date in that time frame.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so like I'm excited. Like I know I talked with Ryan about it, and like I'm already going to be locked in at like the premium tier at the highest level. Are you going to dive in onto the new PlayStation Plus? And if you are, at what level?
I already have PS Now.
Okay.
For the year, I've already paid for it.
There you go.
So I'm top tier here.
You're in.
Yeah. So we'll see. I am more now wondering, okay, when are we going to get a showcase for it? Because if you're launching it at the end of May for Asia, that means we're going to know what games and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So if you're Sony, when are you having your state of play to be like, here's the games, here's your scissor reel, here's the actual games that are going to be on the service?
Yeah, because
So I would think the beginning of May, 2 weeks before the launch in Asia, would make more sense.
I think you're right, because I think there's two major questions left outstanding, one of which is being, what are the games? Are they just rolling the services into each other and that's all that it is? And the second question being, for the existing PlayStation Plus subscribers, how do they upgrade? Because they already said you can roll into, the PlayStation Plus, the basic level. Are you going to be able to pay an upgrade fee to go to that highest tier? Because they haven't talked about that yet. And I know a lot of people do have their PlayStation Plus for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So I'm curious to see what the upgrade path, if there will be one, will look like. And also kind of going along with this story very quickly, let's add this in here. From Video Games Chronicle, 4 classic Siphon Filter games have been rated for PS4 and PS5. As spotted by Gamatsu, they are Siphon Filter 2, Siphon Filter Dark Mirror, and Siphon Filter Logan's Shadow. So, generally speaking, when the Korean rating board does something, that usually means it's pretty imminent. I would imagine these games are coming to that PlayStation Plus premium access level. What do you think?
Yes, I think that is, but my thought is, are we just getting a glow up? We're probably just getting a, hey, here's 60 frames per second, 4K graphics, or the audio HDR, like what they do on the Xbox with a lot of the old games, which I'm fine with. I know we have a question that we're going to get to about asking, and you know what? Like, this is the game I was going to mention. It is my favorite PS1 game that I've ever, like, it's just so ingrained in me on how much I love this franchise, and we've all been asking for it. It's a lot like Splinter Cell, that like every E3 everybody's like, it's Siphon Filter and Splinter Cell. Those are the games that everybody's always like, when are we getting them back? When are we getting them back? When are we getting them back? So this is exciting, and if we're getting more awesome announcements for the PlayStation Plus service, I would assume that this is coming, and this will be one of those, hey, you can download this game. This is not streaming. You can download these games. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. And I will play them, and I will get trophies, and I will platinum.
And I hope you're right. Let's bring a couple people in, because we do have a couple questions around this one, which you alluded to. From Blaze Knight 0923, aka Mike the Backlog Knight on Twitter. Mike asked, what PS1/PS2 first-party franchises would you like to see get a new modern entry with remasters of the original games? Siphon Filter is the one for you, Court? That's the one?
All day long, all day, every day. man, they're just so fun. They bring back so many great memories for me on the PS1 and on the PS2 that just so many times in high school. Yeah, geez, I just dated myself playing these games.
But that's awesome. Yeah, Siphon Filter is a series that I missed. I never played it, so I'm excited to have an opportunity to jump back into it. For me, I think the biggest one that we're still missing is Jack and Daxter. Like we have Sly back, like it's, to some capacity. We have Ratchet back. Like we have a lot of those classic platformers back. We're still missing Jack. And I was more of a Jack 2 and Jack 3 fan than the original Jack and Daxter. So I'm hoping we get those games back in some form, whether it is a glow up, whether it is a full remaster. Give me Jack and Daxter. If we're going back to PS1 and PS2, I want Jack and Daxter.
Oh yeah, because they did it for Ratchet, right? I don't.
That's what I'm
See,
saying.
my thing is, I don't think Naughty Dog's gonna want to do it.
No.
Maybe they will. You know what? They've been doing some extremely serious games. Maybe you go to Naughty Dog and be like, "Do you want to just have some fun? Just go have fun and make collectibles, Easter eggs for all your games. Go have fun."
Yeah,
maybe. Or you go to like Platinum or somebody and say, "Hey, make this game."
I would even go over to like
Blue Point.
I'm sure Team Asobi is busy with their next Astrobot game, but like I mean they've already shown off they've already shown off their pedigree for platformers. So I mean, why not give them Jack and Daxter? I would love to see that. And let's get one more question in here before we move on to our next story from Talkstra, aka Mr. Todd Oxtra, over on Twitter. If PS3 games are still streaming only for the new PlayStation Plus, would you rather have remasters or remakes of those games to play using the power of the PS5? So as we know, the PS3 games that are going to be on the new PlayStation Plus, are streaming only. There's no download option for them at this time. So, Court, if you could choose,
there ever will be.
Would you want remasters or remakes?
I really want to play Infamous 1 and 2 again, and I don't want to play it through a streaming service. I mean, I just don't want to stream it. I want to play the games. So I'll take any version. The remasters take less time. If they give me remasters of Infamous 1 and 2 and they give me 4Ks and they make, New Orleans look a little bit better and so on and so forth, but that also means, because usually when we get remasters, we get a new game of something, then I'll be happy. If not, then I'll take whatever versions, but mine is Infamous. Like the PS3, I know everybody loves their Uncharted, and so do I, but Infamous 1 and 2 were some of the best superhero games of their time.
100% agreed. I'm 100% with you. Infamous is like the easy answer for me. I would obviously rather have a Shadow of the Colossus, Demon Soul style, full from the ground up remake. Like Infamous, I think deserves that. But I'll take a remaster. I'll take it if it's up-res, if everything looks good, if it's running at 60 frames, if they work in some of that DualSense implementation. I'll take it.
Ooh,
I would just like feeling the electricity alongside your hand.
Yeah, when you're going along the lines of the train tracks.
Yes!
Oh my goodness gracious! Or when you're flying and you're hovering and you could feel. Oh, you feel it in the triggers. Come on now, just gimme. You know what is funny? I think that the Delson Infamous game, if it's released now, does better.
I think so too. I actually
there's
really
more
liked
hype
it.
to video games now.
Yeah.
I did too. You know what? I might go back and play it.
That game, I'm not a platinum hunter. I think that's one of the few games that I have gotten a platinum in, just because it was just so much fun. It was just so much fun. Is it on the same level as Infamous 1 and 2? No, but I think it stands on its own right, in my opinion.
Agreed.
All right, let's move over onto our next story, our big topic for the show before we get into a bit of a new segment. Amy Hennig is making a new Star Wars game. Coming from IGN, written by Kat Bailey. 5 years after Visceral Games' closure spelled the end of Amy Hennig's first attempt at a Star Wars game, the director best known for her work on Uncharted is trying again, this time at Skydance Media. Skydance Media announced today that Hennig is working on a brand new game set in the Star Wars universe. Little is known about the new project, save that it will be a quote-unquote richly cinematic action-adventure game featuring an original story set in the Star Wars galaxy. Now, before I throw you to you, Court, because I know you're excited about this, there are rumors, there is scuttlebutt that this is a revival of Project Ragtag, which was the game that they were working on
all day, baby,
5 years ago before it got canceled. So, Court, quick thoughts here. What do you think?
I'm hoping it is.
You think it is?
No, I don't think it is. We know we're getting a third-person action adventure, collectathon, and knowing Amy Hennig, I'm more excited to see what the collectathon part is, because she's a huge Easter egg person.
Yes.
Like in her games, like the fact that she was the original idea of making the egg in Uncharted collectible, like the Easter egg is a collection already in the Uncharted games. I would love to know. She has mentioned many, many, many times how much she loves Star Wars growing up as a kid, and the lore means so much to her. That as a Star Wars fan and someone who just loved playing Skywalker Saga on the Lego game there, I am just excited. Now, to talk about, I've seen the unreleased all the images and such of the game that she originally had done, and you can see it running through the bar and then going over the barges and so on and so forth. And it was a Mandalorian type character. Now, we have heard over and over again Jeff Grubb saying there's a Mandalorian game coming. Jeff Grubb says something. It's the one time where I'm like, it's not a rumor. These are real things. He's putting you down a path. This could be that Mandalorian game. She was already taking a Boba Fett type character, or if it was Boba Fett, we don't know yet. But she already was taking that type of a character. So if everybody wants a Mando game, well, this could be your Mando game. To be totally honest with you, I want a Han Solo game, but that's just me because it's Amy Hennig, and she pretty much turned Indiana Jones into Drake and made what he is. She took Tomb Raider and took Indiana Jones and made Drake. Well, Han Solo is the original inspiration for all of them. So I would love a Han Solo game, and that's what I want. I would love a Han Solo game. Give me him and Chewie, like all that. Just give me some adventures of Han Solo going to planet. It would just be amazing. But I don't think we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get the bounty hunter game that everybody else wants.
See, I'm with you. I don't want this game to be about the Jedi and the Sith. I want this to be the criminal underbelly. I want to see some of like this, like, the sleazy, skeezy parts of Star Wars. There's so much in that universe that it's so rich that, like, we already have the Jedi Fallen Order series. Let's move away from the Jedi and the Sith. Let's get like a weird game. Now, Court, I'm gonna pitch you on, I think, a different game that I think a lot of people in this community would be very excited to see. Okay. I want a Jar Binks game. Wow. Okay. But
you went there.
But listen, hear me out. We're going to curbify it. We're going to give him a mouthful mode. He's going to be able to like get that tongue out, bring enemies in, change a little bit, change his weapons and stuff to kind of go along with the environment. And it's going to be Jar Binks. And then we'll see at the end of the game, right? Spoilers for the Jar Binks game. Swallows the Sith Lord, becomes Darth Jar Jar, and we have the whole theory and the saga complete going into Dark Jar Jar for the second game. What do you think? What do you think, man?
Well, it sounds like the perfect Switch game, all day long. Like that sounds like the shovelware Switch games. It sounds perfect. Or I even have one. You could do like a Lemming style game with the Jar Jar, because there's so many people that love or so many people that hate Jar Jar. So if you have a game where it's Lemmings and you're killing Jar Jar anyways, or you have to save Jar Jar, how many people would play a Lemming style Jar Jar Binks game? All day long.
Amy, call us. Disney, call us. Court and I will do this. We have such great ideas. Last question before we move off this. We know Amy's pedigree. We know how good the games that she makes are. Do you think that this stands a chance at being the best Star Wars game? Going up against the likes of KOTOR, going up the likes of Jedi Fallen Order, even going up for the likes, alongside Lego Star Wars. Do you think this stands a chance at being some people's, at least, favorite Star Wars game, the best Star Wars game?
I hope so. Because it's kind of funny. As someone that is an elder statesman and has played every Star Wars video game that you possibly could think of, they've come out throughout my whole life. I've played them everywhere. I've done it all. Jedi Fallen Order was there. It was like, oh my God, they finally did something that felt like I was playing a Star Wars movie, felt like I was in the world. Like, I loved KOTOR, but KOTOR still didn't have the feeling that Jedi Fallen Order did, where it was like, wow, I'm taking Cal and I'm feeling Cal's emotions. But I did love KOTOR. But oddly enough, I said it to Ryan on the review. Lego Star Wars to me is the ultimate Star Wars video game, solely based on it has everything. It's literally Star Wars jokes, Star Wars lore, all the characters. You get to have fun, and I get to share it with my family and play with my daughter. So to me, I get to share the lore. I think there can be differences. There can be, what's the most fun Star Wars game to play? Okay. Which one has the best Star Wars lore and goes along with what is happening in the movies, the TV shows? And then what is the most original new story? Now with Amy Hennig, maybe, now I think about it, I don't want a Han Solo. Give me an original make a new character, give me an original Star Wars story.
Yeah,
I think it would just be awesome.
I agree. I want to see her get into the nitty gritty. I want to see her, like, I want to stay away from the Tatooines. I want to stay away from the Endors. Go to some weird planets. Go to some like seedy underbelly stuff. And I really do think that this could be one of the best Star Wars games, period. Now, very last question in one word, because we also know that Amy is working on a Marvel game. Which superhero do you want her to be working on?
So it's funny. I think it was Matt, my co-host on Xbox A, who mentioned I want Doctor Strange game.
Okay.
He is a huge Doctor Strange fan. His dad is a huge Doctor Strange fan, and I've learned enough about Doctor Strange through the movies and through such that I think there's a lot to do in that world, especially with the multiverse of madness and so on and so forth, and the magical powers that you could be leveling up, and the cape can be a weapon. There's so much to that, and the dialogue with Doctor Strange is so good in all the movies. There's love interest, there's sidekicks, there's a lot in that world that no one expands on. We already have we've had Spider-Man, we know we're getting Wolverine, we're getting all these games. Give me Doctor Strange. That's what I want.
I think Doctor Strange would be really cool. I know this is the common rumor, but it's honestly the one that I want the most, especially from a team like Amy's. Give me Daredevil. Give me like on the other side of the spectrum, a bit of more of like a grounded story, one that's a little bit less fantastical, something that fits alongside like the Netflix Daredevil, now Disney Plus Daredevil world. I think controlling Daredevil and, especially with the kind of story that I think Amy can deliver, with some fantastic combat, I'm there for it. I hope that's what we get out of them, but I'm 100% in on Doctor Strange as well.
Hey, if we're getting Daredevil, Amy Hennig best be giving me the Punisher at the same time. I want it in the same world. Give me, because she would do that very well.
She would. All right, my friend, let's move on to a new segment we are going to be calling Stick Shift. Now, we have a ton of announcements this week, and moving forward, what we're going to be doing is keeping a running list of the announcements that we're most hyped for. We're going to have a list going, and as new games get announced, do they bump other games down the list? Do they take them out of the Stick Shift list? We'll find out. But Court, we have a list this week to go through to kind of slot in terms of order of hype and how we're feeling about them. And everyone listening, let us know your list in the comments. Let us know what you think. Are we right? Are we wrong? How do you feel? What's your hype level at for all of these games? Okay, we got Sonic Origins. It's coming out June 23rd. We got an announcement for a new Tales of the Borderlands game, which is coming out sometime in 2022. We got Digimon Survive coming out July 29th. We got Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio and some sort of big budget reboots coming sometime in the future. We got the Shadowrun trilogy coming June 21st. And we got No More Heroes 3 coming sometime this year. Now, to keep it, in spirit, we're going to rank our top four, Court.
I don't even remember half the things you just said.
I know. We'll go through them. We'll go through them quick. Okay. But from Sonic Origins, Tales of the Borderlands, Digimon Survive, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Shadowrun, and No More Heroes. What's your number one? Which is immediately the number one? Okay. So
it was such a good game. And I will say this right now, based on what they're doing with the community and how they're setting up this game, Sonic doesn't even make my list.
Okay.
Boo to Sega on that game. Paying for music or backgrounds or basic accessible. Nope. They're out. They're done.
Yeah, it's. I also love Devolver's response with Check to Yomi. They made another, infographic, just basically being like, you're gonna get everything with anything that you get. Love it.
Yeah.
For me, so okay, I'll agree with Tales from the Borderlands in the first slot. I still need to play it, but I've always heard about how good it is. The Borderlands universe is not my favorite, but I've always heard about how good this was. For me, I think Digimon Survive is the game that I'm most excited about in terms of like, I'm so amped for it. It's like a strategy RPG, the anime style. I'm all about it. So for me, with your consent, can we slot Digimon Survive on the second slot?
You can start if you have more hype for this game than I do for Borderlands.
Okay,
so it could be number one, bud.
All right,
like, your game's like, I don't even know what it is, but I can see the excitement. Like when I hear the list of these games, I'm like, meh. Like nothing is like jumping out at me. Borderlands is like, I can't wait to have 4 hours with this game. but that's well it's gonna be.
So Digimon Survive is like a new strategy RPG. They're going along the lines of like your Final Fantasy Tactics or your Fire Emblem, where you're going to have like your units on a field, you move them around. There's apparently like relationships you can build up and stuff. It has like a very clean, hand-drawn looking style. It looks awesome. It's been delayed for like a couple of years now, and it's finally coming, and I'm amped. Okay, so we got Digimon Survive at 1, Tales of Borderlands in 2.
Digimon, is that thing that everybody used to have, like the little pocket thingies, and it was like attached to your keys and stuff like that, and it was like a little thing you keep alive? Or
there were Digivices that did that, that basically functioned like Tamagotchis.
And we made video games about it now.
Yep. Well, there's been video games. There's been video games, my friend.
Okay.
So good.
Sure.
Okay. We
Number
got
1.
Sonic Origins. We said we're leaving off the list. Those games are cool, but you know, we don't support bad DLC.
No, that's bad.
Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Shadowrun, and No More Heroes. What goes in number 3? What do you think?
Jet Set Radio.
Jet Set Radio? I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Yeah, for sure. It's just well, because it's Jet Set and Crazy Taxi, right?
Yeah. We'll count them as one because we'll count them together because we don't know enough about them.
That's definitely next on my list, because that's Crazy Taxi was so much fun. I'm sure it's going to come out and it's going to be a lot like Tony Hawk when it came back out, and we're like, it was fun to play for a weekend. But you know what? I'll be happy to have that as something to play for the weekend.
But I like the vibes. I like the aesthetic. The music was always fantastic. So I'm with you. And plus, I loved Crazy Taxi as well. I played so much of it growing up. It was just a ton of fun. For our last slot, we're between the Shadowrun trilogy, and No More Heroes 3. Personally, I'm more excited for Shadowrun. It's like a very heavy like RPG with like a lot of story options and stuff. I don't have any love for No More Heroes, but I'm not so excited that if you're really hyped about No More Heroes, that I can see to it.
You're going to be disappointed. I'm not hyped for either of these games.
Okay.
So whatever you say, No More Heroes, I heard people love it on the Switch. Joe Medford, he loves that game. He loves that game. God, he dresses up like the character from the game. So I've heard great things. I've never played either, so I couldn't be hyped for a game I've never played. And these huge JRPGs have never, ever been my jam.
Fair enough.
Ever.
So then
Final Fantasy VII actually is the only one that I truly love.
Right, that game is a lot of fun. Okay, I'm gonna slot Shadowrun just because I want to. So we have our first stick shift. We have Digimon Survive at 1, Tales from the Borderlands at 2, Jet Set Radio / Crazy Taxi at 3, and the Shadowrun trilogy at 4. We will revisit this list every time there are new announcements, and whether we are more hyped or less hyped, we'll see how the list continues on. But I'm excited to see how this list goes, my friend. Let's let some of our friends into the car because we have a ton of questions and not a ton of time. So let's mosey. Let's get into some of these. Let's start with our friend over at Marcus McCracken over on Twitter. Accessibility on PlayStation. Your opinion. Do you think Sony is as focused on gaming for everyone as Microsoft is? I've had a few mixed reactions, so just thought I'd get your take on this. What do you think, Court?
So Marcus, my opinion kind of forms from what he tells me majority of the time, and what he tells me through social media and through his Discord group there. I truly think, based on what we see on social media, that Xbox is more focused on it, but that's not to say that PlayStation isn't. Xbox has made controllers. They have gone that one step further. They make it so it is something that needs to be in all their games. But I will say this, a studio like Naughty Dog has done some unbelievable things for the accessibility community and made some of the best, most raved about accessibility features in video games, and probably has set the standard for most games. I know Microsoft moving forward has said you have to have accessibility features in our games, but I know Marcus was trying to play the show and it doesn't read you the menus. He has a vision impairment, so for him, he needs the menus read to him.
Right.
And I think he was telling me on Twitter that they don't read to him. He's trying to play the game, but it's a little bit more difficult for him. So I would say that Xbox is doing a better job.
I agree with you. I think Xbox, just like you mentioned, I think they have it more of like a company-wide mandate, like you said, with the accessibility controller. I think they care more as a company, but I do feel that there are developers within PlayStation that do care. Like you mentioned, Naughty Dog, Insomniac as well is very well celebrated for how much they go in on accessibility.
We have someone in the chat, the Snack Network. He says, I am legally blind. Accessibility in PlayStation, it's just meh. Depends on the game, depends on the developer. So
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's spot on.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Thank you, Sack at Work. Yeah, I really think it just entirely comes down to the developer. I think there are developers in PlayStation that really do care, but company-wide, I don't think it's as important to them as it is with Microsoft. I think you're 100% right there. Let's move on to our next question from the Winter Gamer. Brendan Myers over on Twitter asks, what Sony IP would benefit/utilize the Nemesis system? I have an answer for this one, like locked and loaded, ready to go.
Ghost of Tsushima, like, you don't even have to think twice.
100%.
Yeah, like, all day long. Like, all day long. One of the best games I've played in the last 10 years.
Yep.
But wow. And God of War even could, because you have all those huge North. But Ghost of all the games, like, Jesus, oh my goodness, you could have mythical. Oh my Jesus, oh yeah, it's endless. It's endless.
I can just imagine, like, you know, riding through a field and all of a sudden you're just like knocked by an arrow and you get put into a duel. Like, especially the duels in that game are just so much fun because an enemy comes back after you. I think Ghost of Tsushima using a Nemesis system would just make that game even more incredible. And I hope we get it, because even though we know that they've trademarked it, so you can't do exactly the same thing, I would hope that Ghost of Tsushima has something like it in the future, because I think it would make it really cool.
Just tweak it a little bit. We all know Fortnite tweaked Battle Royale, and look what Halo just did with their baby Battle Royale. Sorry, it's definitely a Battle Royale, people.
A little baby Battle Royale.
Yeah, baby Battle Royale.
Over on Twitter once again, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. I'm just going to read out at NGA Cha Cha. First time listener to the show, so I would like to get to know you guys as PlayStation fans. And here is a question that's been lighting up Twitter since we got asked it, my friend.
I know.
What is the best PlayStation Studios game, and why is it The Last of Us Part 2? So I'm going to eliminate the best PlayStation Studios game for a sec. Let's talk about Last of Us Part 1 versus Part 2 quick, because there are some feelings, and I feel like I'm in the minority. So I'm going to let you go first.
It's fine. I will go with, I'm going to go out and say it right now. The Last of Us is one of my top 3 video games of all time. The emotions that I felt playing that game, the emotions I felt playing it 4 times. It is the most concise story almost ever in a video game. They took raw emotions and made you feel for characters so much that when the second one came out, there was instant arguing everywhere just because of what happened. I'm not giving away anything. I will never do that, because they're just beautiful things, both of them. But Last of Us Part 1, we've rumored we're getting a remake. Yeah, I'm going to finish it twice again. I've finished it 4 times. I was not a father at the time, and I'm not going to talk about it. But when that happens again, I don't know if I'll be able to fit. I will probably have to put the controller down. I'm thinking about it right now. It's bothering me. It is the only game in the history of video games that has made me cry and has made me feel pure emotion towards a video game. And that says a lot. And I get it. Everybody can say what they want, but my opinion is The Last of Us is a perfect video game. It is like Back to the Future to me. Back to the Future is a perfect movie. The Last of Us is a perfect video game.
See, I 100% understand the argument. But for me, I love The Last of Us Part 2 more than Part 1. I think throughout The Last of Us as a franchise, I really do think Ellie is the focal point. She is the main character through both of those games, regardless if you're playing Joel in the first one or not. And the journey that you go with her on the second one, while I do agree, I think could have been a bit shorter. I think there are issues with the second game that the first one doesn't have, but I think the second one sticks the landing more for me. There are points in that game where, like, I had to put the controller down just because I didn't want to continue a boss fight. I didn't want to continue what was going on screen. There's no choice, so you had to do it. I feel like there are moments of that in the first one. I feel like there's much more of that in the second one, because, like, and especially what they do in the back half of the game, I think it's a master stroke. Because for me, comes a certain point where I was like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I don't want to do it. I'm done. And the way that they bring you around and the way that they make you care, it's just, the second one has just such a special place in my heart. And, like, again, like, I was bawling through that game over and over and over again, and, like, I can just feel Ellie throughout all of it. And I love the second one. I love the first one too. But the second one just has something about it that just resonated with me more personally.
Hey, and that's the best thing. Like, what I'll say about Naughty Dog and what Neil Druckmann has done in these 2 games, he has made something where I don't want another one.
No, me
I
neither.
know so many people don't. I almost didn't want a second one, and I know why they did it, because money talks.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my God, don't give me another Last of Us. They are put the two together, and you have an epic video game collection.
Agreed.
They take you on a roller coaster of emotions. They make you feel for their characters. I liked Abby. Sorry, I liked her. It's just, I thought she was a very good character.
Me too.
I had no problem with the choice at the very beginning of the game. Did I like it? Nope. It gut wrenched me. But I did not like the choice at the very beginning of Last of Us 1 either. And it wasn't because it was just, oh my God. That Last of Us 1 was the first game where I played and was like, oh my God, they just did something that no one else has already done.
Yep. Agreed.
They literally were the first to do what they did and made a game where you walk away and you were like, this deserves an Oscar.
I agree.
And that was never done in a video game before, and that, to my opinion. The closest to me was BioShock, just because how much I thoroughly enjoyed the story of Andrew Ryan and everything to do with that world. But I felt the world itself was the character. But with The Last of Us, every single character I met, side character, main character, I felt some sort of emotion and some sort of kinship with them. And oh my God, like the show is coming out and it's giving me goosebumps thinking about it. I'll give you an example. My father-in-law, he's 70 years old now, and I was playing The Last of Us on the PS3, and I just moved in my house, and I was playing through my second playthrough because I wanted to get the platinum, which I didn't get. It was hard. I almost got everything. I couldn't get all the multiplayer stuff, so I never ended up getting the platinum. It is what it is. Still love the game. And I had him he came to my house at the right moment. It was at the very beginning. And I had him watch the whole beginning of the game with me. So he literally saw Joel's daughter get out of bed and walk around the house. That's where he walked in. And he thought he was watching a movie at the time because that's what the graphics were. And when that part happened, he got mad. He got so mad. He was like, no, no. He was like, why did you? He got mad at me. He thought I made that choice.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't do that. And my father-in-law, to this day, whenever I ever talk about video games, he's like, that game. And he still bothers him to this day. Like, it still gets him. And so as a father now, it's almost like I want to go, it sounds terrible. I want to go through it to see what it feels like from his perspective. Because at the time it was gut-wrenching to me then. But now, I think I will become a puddle. Like, and I know it's coming, and I will be a puddle.
Yeah.
And even the ending, Ellie becomes your daughter. So I truly think The Last of Us as a series, 1 and 2, are masterclass.
Yep.
And they take everybody to give everybody's perspective. There's a perspective in 1, there's a perspective in 2, and there's a perspective for any walk of person playing these games.
Yep, agreed. And like I had a similar experience with part 2 where like my partner would like passively watch, and then it got to the point where she'd be like, can you pause? I have to go run to the bathroom. Can you pause and wait for me to come back before you keep watching? And similarly, like she was with me throughout like this entire, like, 2/3 of the game, because she'd just be sitting there and be like, hold on, I have to go do something. Can you pause? I want to see what happens. Which she's never been like that with any other video game. So agreed. The Last of Us Part 1 and 2, both masterclasses. And I can totally see the arguments for both of them. That's the beauty about both of those games.
And when they remake the games, just make Ellie swim. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah, please. Let's get a couple more questions in before we wrap up here. Coming from @TheMuffinMon, aka Mr. Kevin Ainsworth. How worried are you guys that God of War will not come out this year? I keep seeing the sentiment that because we haven't gotten info, it's not coming. But we haven't seen anything of Starfield, and that's just how Bethesda does it. Can it be that they're just waiting? Well, also let's loop in Mr. GMT618, Graham the Golden. Do you think that if God of War Ragnarok is anything close to God of War 2018, it will have a chance of knocking off Elden Ring as GOTY? So A, do you think it's coming? And B, do you think it could be the game of the year?
I voted against it in our fantasy.
I know.
But the news that dropped, I think it was this week, was it Jeff Grubb? Someone at VGC said that we were getting an announcement soon. Something was coming, or they did.
One of the developers on Twitter was like, it's coming this year.
Yes. Well, no, he said we were getting news next week or in the next couple of weeks. News is coming. We're about to know news. They didn't say it was coming. They said there was news coming for the game.
There was there was a developer, like one of the developers, like one of the visual artists, who says like it's still coming this year. Like he went.
Okay, so I'm gonna lose, which is fine. I hope so. I didn't play Elden Ring, so Not a game for me. Didn't touch it. But my brother only plays games on PC. He could not play that game for 2 weeks because the game didn't work. So the fact that everybody continues to say that this game is game of the year, I get it. That's fine. Hot take here. I don't think it should qualify because the game came out broken. Yes, it worked on consoles, but it did not work on PC. I think the way reviews are done, this is just my opinion, we might want to look at it differently because what the people are buying and what we are reviewing sometimes are two different things. So we all give a review, and the reviews for Elden Ring were skyrocketed. And I've talked to people. People say it's the best game they've ever played, and I'm happy for them. I truly, it's probably it looks beautiful. Like the game looks unreal. But if God of War can improve on 2018, it's no one. Yeah, it's like when Vince Carter does the dunk at the dunk contest, and he just says it's over. It's over. If God of War comes out this year and it is just even a tiny bit better than 2018, it's a mic drop. It's over. We don't even have a conversation. It's the game of the year. But I think more of a competition would be Starfield, because if they make a new Skyrim and a new world out of Xbox and they make a game that is better than Skyrim, that might be game of the year no matter what.
See, I'm with you, but I do think that like even with God of War Ragnarok coming out, I think the biggest thing that people are nervous about is that it will just be more of what 2018 was. I'm all about that. I want it to be, but like if they don't, I'm worried that if they don't take a couple steps to make it a little bit more fresh, that it is going to be a battle. And I still think even if it is even, like you said, a bit better than 2018, I think we're going to get a lot of people on both sides of the fence, because I do think that God of War, people are going to celebrate for the story, for the whole world, for everything about it. But I do see the argument for the gameplay loop in Elden Ring for it to be at the thing. So I do think there's going to be a chance that it's going to be a very divided panel when the time comes around.
But if you look at previous years and how games work, there is a recency bias. There is Elden Ring came out at the beginning of the year. So it is going to be just like the Oscars. It's going to be, you're going to have to play it again. I know it's gotten all these 10s, but just because games get 10s doesn't mean it's game of the year. It doesn't mean it will win game of the year. As of right now, it's game of the year. Even if I was voting, I never played the game, I would be like, yeah, everybody tells me it is. It has to be. Is it my game of the year right now? No. My game of the year right now would be MLB The Show 22, just because that's how much I love the game right now. And I've gotten to the point where it's about what I like playing. So that's my opinion right now. It's number one to me. Horizon is number 2, and Lego Star Wars is number 3. That's my game so far this year. But you know what? We'll see. But to me, God of War is another one where, wow, like it did something different, and it made one of the best games of all. Like, it's crazy. Think about what Sony has done in the last 10 years. They have made some of the best video games of all time.
Yep. 100%.
Literally of all time. So like I said, if God of War is better, it has to be game of the year. I'm sorry.
I know. And that's what I mean. I think we're going to have a very interesting discussion by the end of the year, especially like you said, if Starfield hits, if some of these other games that we might not even know about hit the way that they do. It's going to be.
Don't forget Splatoon, right? Yeah.
Don't forget Splatoon. Don't forget Darth Jar Jar. Let's squeeze in one last question coming from @SA_Z. I'm planning to visit Disney World this summer, and it has me wondering what PlayStation IP would make the best theme park attraction. If you were in charge of developing attraction designs, what would you put in a hypothetical PlayStation theme park? I love this question.
Astrobot all day long.
I know.
I didn't think twice.
Me too. Astrobot's easy for this. Give me like a Toy Story style, like we're going through the things, shooting stuff. There's like cameos and there's little things all over the world.
Give me the game. Give me that game.
Yep.
You already have the slide on the very first level. There's your roller coaster. You go into the water. There's your water park. And then as you go through, like they have already made it. You can make that. There you go. They have all the Sony tropes throughout it. They have all the little hints to Resident Evil and everything is in this, right? God of War is literally any game that has a tree in it now has a hand on it, and they're like, that's how good God of War is. It doesn't matter who the studio is, whether it's a PlayStation studio or not. There is an Easter egg in almost every game now to God of War and the hand on the tree.
Yep.
That's how good this game is. So if God of War, I'm going back to it, it's going to be game of the year if it comes out.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Astrobot would make an awesome play in a PlayStation theme park. You know what? I lied. Let's squeeze in. We have one question left. Let's squeeze in real quick from Mostly Martinez, because he said, I only respond to screaming. Here is one. I'm predominantly a PC player, then Switch, then Xbox, then cloud. I haven't had a PlayStation since the 3. Is there a game or games that is worth the money for me to go back into PlayStation? We just talked about a court. We just said that the last 10 years have some of the best games ever. Yeah. Forget the best PlayStation games ever. Some of the best games ever. Now, if you're a PC player, some of these games might be coming to PC, but like...
because Ghost is Ghost already on PC?
No.
Well, there you go. Right then and there, Ghost of Tsushima is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It is a movie that is a video game. It is a movie that is a video game. And if you play it in black and white, you get, oh my God. That game is just crazy. And then
so good.
The Last of Us 1 and 2, like they're not on PC, right?
Nope.
Like,
Spider-Man.
Those are Spider-Man. And you know what? I'm going to go out there and say Astrobot is one of the best 4-hour experiences I've ever played in video games.
100%. There is a lot here for you to consider the dive in. Now, Court, though, we have run long today, but it's because we had a supersized show full of news and full of your questions. Thank you so much. If you want to be part of the show, please, will you tweet it out every single week? Respond to that tweet with some of your questions. Hop into our Discord. The link will be in the show notes. Ask questions there, or leave your questions on the YouTube comments below, and we will get to them next week. Court, this was an absolute pleasure. We had a fantastic show, but before we go, if people wanted to find more of your glorious mug, where can they do that?
You can find me on Twitter at Court Lalonde, and all my socials are there. The other shows that I'm on, because I'm on an Xbox show and I'm on a 3 Dad show, but you can also find me. I do our social media at Carpool Gaming. So you're going to see a lot of me, and you're going to see a lot of me harassing Sean. So I hope you enjoy it. And you have been crushing it with the social media so far, my friend. So keep at it. As for myself, you can find me over on Twitter at burnout_Matt. You can find us over at youtube.com/burnoutbreader, where we talk about all things video games, mental health, and social justice. This brings us to the end of the show. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Hop over to patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Hop over to youtube.com/carpoolgaming. Give us those 5 stars. We appreciate it all very much. And we will see you on the next one. Peace out.
The PlayStation Drive is fueled by the Patreons who truly make us believe that anything is possible. And we'd like to thank the more than 90 patrons who support us each and every month at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. With a special thanks to our ultimate producers, Mostly Martinez, Dano, Emily O'Kelly, Dallas Ford, Truckersoft, Jonathan Brown, who has a new album, In My Element, on Spotify and Apple Music, Drew Agnew, who is the host of the House of Mario podcast, Lee Navarro, who is the leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. The links are in the show notes. Please support these ultimate producers. Platinum producers, Brendan Myers, Becky Ruben Navarro, Skinny Matt, Robbie Bobby Miller. And then our gold members, Tom 4 NKS, Slicely Carosa, Anna W, The Snack Network, Foolish Fuji, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots, Tony Baker, Mac Time, RJ Kern, Jose Jimenez, Ashley Nichols, Argo, Marcus O'Neill, and Dallas Robbins. To support the PlayStation Drive and get some awesome perks, go to patreon.com/carpoolgaming and select the